All right. Hey everyone. Hopefully you can hear us. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Sound
Awesome.
great.
Great. So hello. It has been a long day. I'm sorry I'm a little late, and I'm sorry this stream is so late. Court only got out at like 6:30, and I had left even earlier than the private jury questions had finished. So, you know, apologies for getting out here so late, but I just wanted to talk to you all, and I saw that you were doing a stream earlier about it, and I wanted to connect with you as well. So yeah, let's talk about the case.
Yeah, so it's obviously a really interesting case, and I'm first and foremost interested in your competing observations in terms of the the how it feels on the ground. I'm interested in the comparative size of the courtroom, and I know some of these answers, but other people might not, in terms of like the size of Fairfax Court versus the size of this court. Now, how much parking is there? Where is the parking? How close is it to the courthouse? What is the atmosphere like? How close are the food trucks? How many people are outside? How many people are inside? Are there lines to get inside? And so forth and so on. So I was hoping that maybe you could sort of just lay out, the compare and contrast of the Johnny Depp environment versus this environment, since you've had both.
Yeah, 100%. So first impression, it was much less of a mayhem showing up to the courthouse. I mean, when I showed up for Johnny Depp, there was a line, already, and then, you know, that was the beginning. But then by the middle point, of course, there were hundreds of people showing up. But this was a lot more relaxed. The courthouse is a lot smaller. Everything is a lot smaller here. Parking, it's not like a big garage like it is in Fairfax County. I parked on the street, basically a block from the courthouse. I walked there. Um, there are food courts down in a little parking lot because as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, the courthouse doesn't have any food court in it. So I think everything's offsite. Um, the courtroom is actually, I mean, I guess the room is smaller than the Fairfax County court, but there seems to be a similar amount of seating. The seating is very large and there's a lot of rows, and the room does go back quite a bit. The energy for this trial is a lot different. There's the absence of the celebrity part of it. So there's a lot of like true crime people there, and more like national news who are able to get into the court because a part of, I guess, the rules with this courthouse is that they have media actual passes that you have to sign up for in advance versus the Johnny Depp trial. If you were media, you had to wait like everyone else all night if you wanted to get in there. So this is a little bit, as I said, more relaxed because most of the media people know that they're going to get in. They have the passes, and then there's not that many spectators that came. So today they didn't even let anyone else besides media in. There was no general admittance. They're doing that once the jury process is over. But the people that were there that didn't have media passes, there weren't that many either. It wasn't like the Johnny Depp trial where you had, 50 to 100 people on the first day.
Mhm. How many people were sort of, so did you actually get in the courtroom proper then?
I did. Wait, say that again? The courtroom what?
Proper, the actual courtroom.
Oh, yes, I did.
Because you said no one without a media pass got in. So therefore, that led to the question of, did you get in?
Yes, I got a media pass.
See, there
I
you go. Thinking ahead.
Yes. I am officially, I guess, a representative of online media. That's what my pass says. It just says online
Good.
media. So I am court sanctioned by South Carolina to represent online media in the Colton County Courthouse.
Excellent. This is a very good day. So were there, how many people were outside the courthouse? Let's talk about outside the courthouse. So can you describe how many people were just sort of out and about the courthouse? Was there anyone out and about in the courthouse? Were the people just hanging around, or was that not really a thing here?
Not really a thing. There was a lot of media, so the media tents were everywhere. I mean, it consumed the entire property. And then basically all the people waiting outside were just the media people. You had a few, as I said, like podcasters and um true crime, investigators and other kind of like true crime YouTubers who were there, kind
Okay.
of just doing stories, but it wasn't like a spectator thing. There were a few people who either were somehow connected to the family or had lived in the area for a long time that just wanted to come. But as I said, the general mittens, it wasn't allowed that day.
Mhm.
Walking up, there was a huge crowd, and I was like, "Oh wow, people are lined up." It actually was the jury pool that was just waiting outside.
That's funny.
Giant
Yeah,
group.
those are-
And I actually walked up with them, and I was like talking to them because at first I had no idea. I'm like, "Oh, whatever," and then they're like, "Wait, are you part of the jury?" And I was like, "Oh, wait, no." And they're like, "Oh, okay, this is another section."
funny. That is pretty hilarious. So on a purely practical question, as an official representative of online media, whatever that means, does that mean that you also can put up a pop tent on their lawn? And if it's more to the point, can I put up a pop tent on their lawn and tailgate and shit and stream from there?
I love that. Um, I don't think you're allowed to stay there all night, so it's not gonna be like the Fairfax County Courthouse where there's like, parties and pizza
Okay.
at 3 in the morning.
That's
Um,
okay. I'll get one of those portable shed things, that have the portable tents,
yes.
and I'll put up. Can I bring my portable tent out there? With the just the overhead tent that you'd see like at a park, and put a table under there. And can I just live stream from the courthouse outside there? Because that sounds hilarious and like a thing I might want to do.
Um, in all seriousness, probably. Yeah, if you signed up
Excellent.
as a media person, I mean, don't do like I mean, you're serious and you have a big channel, so put that in there and say, I wanna come and do it, and you'd have to there's
But you already have a media pass, so I can be your reporter. See, that's how we cheat the
that is
system,
true, except
James.
I didn't sign up for the equipment part. There's a
Ah.
part where it says, "What are you gonna have? What are you gonna set up?" All that I could ask to change it, but, I mean, yeah, we could, that would be
I
hilarious.
might, I might, I might have you file some paperwork for me since you're down
Okay.
there. But at
Yeah, I would
this, but at this, but at this
support
point, this is just way too funny. So I might come down there, and I wouldn't want to be in the courtroom because I can't obviously stream from the courtroom, and that's lame. But I could absolutely see myself getting one of those tents and a table and some sort of cell-based Wi-Fi for my laptop, and just setting up my YouTube stream and just streaming from outside the courthouse, watching the stream from inside the courthouse and commenting as I'm eating an elephant ear, because that just sounds way too funny.
that sounds awesome. I would watch that
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, yeah.
And
And
actually
then
get elephant ears in a food truck.
yes, I saw the pictures of it. That
Oh, okay,
I mean,
okay.
if we needed more carnival atmosphere, we literally have food trucks that are selling elephant ears, also known as funnel cakes, which
Yes.
is like just chef's kiss. Do we have a cotton candy? Is there a juggler? Are there alpacas?
No alpacas. Very disappointed, no alpacas. We'll see though. It hasn't even started yet. This is just the jury
Can
selection.
I file a permit for alpacas being load-bearing equipment bearers? They're going to carry my camera equipment. I need the alpacas.
I think so, actually. They might be considered what, a work animal?
Yes. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, in certain parts of the country, if you want to do the Grand Canyon or something, you need some donkeys or some alpacas or something to take it. I think there's still some mail routes that use donkeys because of the terrain,
Mm.
to get there. So hey, maybe there's a connection there. But I'm absolutely willing to turn this into even more of a circus than it already is.
Well, I don't know if South Carolina would love that so much. They are in some ways a lot less strict inside
Yeah.
of the courtroom, but in some ways, like they were much more strict with who they were letting in and things like that. Fairfax, they kind of did. I mean, I love the Fairfax experience and the Johnny Depp trial, but I have to be honest, like they kind of let it become a circus. I mean, they really throughout, like by not having strict rules and really kind of any adherence to standards and letting people like mob outside and literally like stand outside the courthouse with signs and all of that. They kind of let
Mhm.
it like divulge into a chaos mess, and they're not doing that here. Like you cannot be around there, you know what I mean? Like again, they only let in like I think 20 people outside of the jury.
Yeah. Well, at this pace, I might come down there next week or something because that just sounds funny. I can bring my laptop and my webcam, And all I need then is some sort of like Verizon or whatever based cell thing that I can grift the internet connection off of and make that work. So I'll figure out something. But that sounds funny.
Well, come
Yeah.
down. I'll be here.
Awesome. Yeah, I grew up in South Carolina. I grew up in I spent 20 years in South Carolina, when I was growing up and went to school there, college there. So it's a state I'm well familiar with. Not familiar with that particular part of the country, although I'm familiar with the low country. My family lived in Beaufort, South Carolina, which is coastal. So if you wanted to go further east and hit the coast of the state near Charleston, a little bit south of there, you get to Beaufort.
Yeah.
And so I'm familiar with the state, and my family now lives in Greenville, so that would be cool. And my brother lives in Charleston, so that's also cool. But yeah, I think it's an interesting thing. So what was I now I have to say that the jury selection, at least from what I was able to hear, because of course we couldn't see anything except occasionally when the judge's head would occasionally rarely pop into frame. But we weren't able to see much else beyond that. That the environment of the jury voir dire had a very sort of interesting. I describe it as casual and
Yeah.
sort of like in sort of how it was. It didn't strike me as very formal. I loved how one guy, was like, "I'm happily divorced," and everyone laughed, and the other guy was like, "I'm single and I'm looking to change that," and basically turning into a pickup. I thought that was great. This was the highlight of my day. So
Yeah.
were there any particular notable things that you saw that were? Uh, Katie O says that you're local and I can park in my front yard to stream. Outstanding. We
Nice.
may have to do that, Katie. This is getting better and better with every passing moment.
Well, I love that idea. I think we need to make that happen. And you kind of hit the nail on the head there. That is what it's like. It is a lot more relaxed. I think the feeling of South Carolina and like the South and Southern hospitality really kind of permeates into the court process because like the circuit clerk of court, is that how you say it? The
Yeah.
circuit, the clerk, she was like, when they're doing the roll call for the jury, they ask the basic questions like, what do you do? Are you married? And what does your spouse do? Um, and but she would like always have like a response, like they would say something and she would go back with like, oh, like that's awesome, or oh well, and this just shows you also how small of a town this is because they would like someone would be like, I work at the Wendy's, like at this place, and she would be like, oh, I love that Wendy's, or like someone would literally be like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm retired, and they'd be like, oh, well, where'd you work? And he'd be like, oh, I worked at this supermarket, whatever. And she'd be like, I recognized you. We need you back
She's
there.
asking for business cards. That was great. Asking for business cards from the
Yes,
electrician. It's
yes,
like we may need work. Everyone laughs. No, we're serious. I need the business card.
yeah,
It's like, okay, this is what we're doing now. Or the one guy is like, yeah, apparently restaurants, like some restaurants, like, oh, where is it? It's outside of Beaufort. Oh, where in Beaufort?
yep,
Snake, whatever road. Oh, I know where Snake, wherever road
yep,
is.
yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was, I mean, if you listen to it and people who did that was the entire time it was like that. She was very nice. I spoke to her that morning. She came out and talked to the press and things like that. So, again, it just feels like because it's South Carolina and it's like it's just very like a lot of Southern hospitality, a lot of just like friendly,
Well,
and they all know each other in that
well,
community in the
well,
courthouse.
you can tell her that the people that were watching my stream, and we got up to 1,000 people watching, which is not bad
Nice.
for watching at nothing. But we can tell the people on my stream were big fans of the clerk. That
Good.
they like her voice and they like her style, that they thought they enjoyed her. So
Well,
you
they
can
like her more.
you can tell her that she's got some fans out there among the uncivilians.
Good, good, and people will even like her more when they see her, I think, on the live streams because she's fun, and that's exactly how she is, how she sounds and stuff, and she seems to be very nice, as well. Now, it was very different than Fairfax, which even the judge here is a very like he's a lot more laid back. You know what I mean? But in Fairfax, they were very kind of strict, like very like no laughter in the court. No no talking about this, like talking back. Like you would have never had like, that kind of like back and forth with like, oh, tell me, oh, do you like working there? Like blah, blah, blah. Like it was just very different for me to see that. So I kind of liked it. It was cool. You know what I mean? But it was
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, I mean, they did basically subpoena the entire county for jury service. They had sent out, they said 900 voir dires. There's only 38,000 people that live in the county. Once you eliminate the people that are under 18, and it's like we subpoenaed basically the entire county for jury service. So I'm not surprised that everyone knows everyone, apparently. Husband, wives, and everyone else is like, it's like it was a lot.
Well, did you all catch that? I think there were two husband wives duos in the courthouse.
But at least one of them.
Yeah, I think there might have just been. I thought there was another pair or something, or no, another one. So the daughter of the circuit clerk was in there.
That was cute.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the married couple who got called to the same. So I agree. It must have been pretty much like 60% of that surrounding community.
Yeah, no joke. Right. But I've at least done based on the preliminaries. How many of the preliminaries have you seen? Have you seen some of the preliminary hearings?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you for my money that I've enjoyed the preliminary hearings. I've at least in the preliminary hearings found both sides counsel to be competent, to be good, and I found the judge to be good.
Mhm.
So I'm expecting good things from this trial, where we're going to get two sides that are well equipped for what's in front of them. And so I think that, and this is a huge case in South Carolina, probably the hugest case in Susan Smith, arguably. And this is a case where you got some really excellent people that are there. It was interesting in chat because one of the defense lawyers, at least, I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's a senator in the state, and they're like, "Oh, that's weird. The senator is a defense lawyer." I'm like, "Not really, because in a lot of states, legislature is a part-time job, and South Carolina is not an exception. So it is
I
not
thought that.
unusual that yeah,
See,
it's not."
someone said that when I was there too, but I said, really, they're a state senator, but also doing their job. I
Yeah.
mean, in Florida, I feel like that's not the case. They go to Tallahassee and they're there for the period, and then they have time off and they can do whatever in their time off. But I I don't know. It did feel very odd to me the fact that and he's in session and he's also trying this case. How is that not also like sort of a conflict of interest? I don't understand because then if you're a part of a political party and maybe someone that you're representing donated to your campaign and your political party, how is that not a conflict of interest? But I don't know. And you're representing their district in the government, but you're representing them in court, in the actual court. I don't know. It just seems like messy to me. No?
No, I mean that's just a lot of ways they roll. The fact that they're in session is funny since he obviously can't. Well, maybe I don't know how he's dealing with that in session. I mean, that's a bit of a hike to Columbia. That's about maybe about an hour and a half to Columbia there and back. So I don't know how he's doing with in session being there at the same time. But it's not unusual in a lot of states to have full time jobs, and the legislature doesn't actually get paid that much. And I mean, in Texas, they only show up every 2 years, so it's even worse. So
All right, that's fair. I mean, yeah.
yeah. So did you try the funnel cake?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
That'll be something
that's.
I guess to do tomorrow. I'll take a picture and I will show everyone and I'll rate it and see how good it is. I
I think
was I'm
I
sorry?
think you have a moral obligation to try at least every item of food at least once and rate it. That could be part of the adventure.
That's
Day 4, the funnel cake. Day 5, the egg rolls. Day 6, the hot coffee. Day 7, the ice cream. Sunday.
well, hold on that because I did have the coffee and it was lukewarm at best.
See, there you go. This is how you work this stream. I think for you. I'll try to give you some advice here. You're doing your daily reports. You do your daily reports on your channel,
Yes.
and you talk about like, okay, daily report day 7, or it can just be like day 7, the coffee, day 8, the egg rolls,
I like
and
that.
that could be the title of the stream. And you talk about that, and then you talk about whatever else is going on that day. That could be fun. And you could even use the picture of said thing as the thumbnail if you really wanted to go hardcore.
That actually would be perfect.
I'm over here giving YouTube advice. It's good stuff.
You should be one of those YouTube coaches.
Yeah, I'll take your fee now. No problem. Like I know what I'm doing. I'm making it up as I go along. But I really enjoyed the hearing. Enjoyed, the judge seems to be doing his diligence and stuff, and it seems like they're well on their way to being done tomorrow. Do you know if the court is expected to start the trial on Wednesday?
At first, it seemed like that would be unlikely, but I think it could be possible. Now, we will finish the 4th pool tomorrow morning, and that'll probably take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours.
Yep.
So, you know, probably by lunchtime, and then after lunch, it'll be after that, but here's the problem. There's still hundreds of people that are now gonna be combined together, collectively, that they're gonna comb through. So I'm just worried that this now is just gonna be like nitpicking, you know what I mean, each person to see who's gonna be on the jury, and then it's gonna end up where it could take days and days. I hope that's not the case. I'm hoping it's by Wednesday. That would be great. But what do you
I
think?
think I think you're basically right in your assessment. I think the judge kind of wants to get a move on here, and I think that he's not going to let it go on too long. I could see it lasting a day or two, but they're definitely going to finish this week for sure,
All right,
and
good.
start next week. That would be my assessment. And I think the judge is just going to be like, well, let's get to it and figure out what's going on here.
Do you think it'll be sooner in the week, or do you think it'll be, like, later in the week?
I'm cautiously betting for Wednesday, and if not Wednesday,
Nice,
Thursday.
okay.
That'd be my cautious bet. Yeah, but you're right on that. They'll finish their pool tomorrow. They've done their 4 pools of 80 people, so that's 320 people that they went through. They've narrowed that down already to their new pool. They're going to do a second round of voir dire from that pool and seat a jury of. Do you know how much they're seating? How many alternates they're seating?
No, I don't. I have to look into, I guess, the laws here for that, for, right, criminal
Yeah,
cases. I would assume, I guess from what I heard, that it was 3?
really, all only 3. That's interesting.
Or how many
I th-
more do you think it would be?
I mean, if it were up to me, I'd do no less than 4 because you
Okay,
never know what's going to happen, and I think about
sure.
6. Because it's
Okay,
a
people are saying 18 total, 12 with 6 alternates, I guess?
yeah that
Alright,
would
yeah, that makes sense then.
that sounds a lot more alternate. So yeah, 18. So save 6 alternates. So in case something goes wrong, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you have any sense about how people in the community are feeling about the trial in terms of his guilt, innocence, or the strength of the state's case? Do you have any sense of how people are feeling down there?
Yeah, that's kind of been, like, the number one thing that's been on my mind that I try to ask every person I run into here. I just went and had a cheeseburger at a local place near the hotel I'm staying at, and
Kick
I
ass.
asked the waitress, "What do you think about this?" And she was talking about it and how basically her and her friends have been paying attention, and they all hate him, it seems like. I mean, she was talking about how she knows one of his cousins that went to school, like,
Of
her
course she
friend went to
does. Of
school
course
with.
she does.
Yeah, because everyone, I mean, that family is also huge, like, there's so many branches that they're everywhere. They're in Charleston, they're in Columbia, they're back home, um, and I think, I don't know, there's 2 sides. I've heard that people are fearful of them, that people are intimidated by that family, but then I think there's also a lot of people who don't like them and have the kind of feeling that they're sick of maybe them getting away with all of these things. Like, a lot of
Mhm.
people in South Carolina started paying attention when, mysterious, let's say, and tragic deaths occurred. I won't say anything more than that, but, people were finding out they were connected to them, whether it was the housekeeper or the boating accident or this. And, people were just really interested in it. And, as people have seen, I'm sure, who are watching, and you too, it's been quite popular on true crime podcasts and then Murdaugh Trial podcasts. And in South Carolina, it's been a huge story for years. And I
Oh yeah.
think it's been brewing and it's created kind of a vitriol towards him.
No, that's totally fair. How is the housing hotel situation out there? I had heard that, that they were really worried about having enough housing and stuff for people. Is there really a crunch on hotel rooms and stuff from what you can tell?
I'm sure there is. I mean, Walterboro is like a really small town.
It's
I'm
like
not
what, population like 6,000 or something?
Yeah, and I mean the area around the courthouse, there's nothing. There's no hotels. There's hardly even any cafes that I saw or stores or anything. It just seems to be kind of like residential and like a very, very, very small version of maybe Fairfax, Virginia. Like, kind of like a little historic looking, but just very small with nothing kind of there. I don't know where people are staying. I mean, maybe some people are staying in like inns or bed and breakfasts or Airbnbs. I'm staying about like an hour away in Charleston.
That's a long
Uh,
hike.
yeah, so I'm driving, which I realized was probably not the best decision because driving 2 hours a day, like on top of it. But at the same time, I mean, I got a pretty good rate at a hotel here in North Charleston, and I just feel like I'd at least have better opportunities of getting places to eat and doing things, especially on the off times, instead of being, in that area.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, maybe I think what you should try to do, James, is I think you should try to hype on streams during the day during your break. And I know that other people are streaming. I know that Vices and Mindset were streaming today, and I think they're
Okay.
intending to continue that. I believe Emily D. Baker is going to start streaming when the trial starts. And I think you should try to make an effort to try to make appearances on there because people love that on the ground shit. And I think you could definitely pick up quite a lot of subscribers for your YouTube channel by giving your impressions and stuff like that. So
Well, thank you
yeah.
for that advice, and I appreciate that, and I think that's a great idea. Um, there is quite a bit of time for lunch. Like today, I think there was over 45 minutes, maybe an hour for lunch, if not
Mhm.
more. So that sounds like something I could definitely do in the interim. Hop on a stream with anyone who wants to have me on, and I can talk to them, answer questions in the middle of it. Talk about give the live updates of what's going on. Instead of waiting until after the court uh, trial
Yeah.
or
If
the court
anytime,
ends the day.
anytime you have a break, I try to make the circuit, and I just try to make the
Yeah,
circuit of who's streaming and just hit people. And it's a good way to promote your channel and a good way to share your first impressions of what's going on. And I may file a press pass down there myself because that just sounds way too funny.
do it. That would be fun. You should. And especially you have the family here and everything, so it
Hmm.
sounds like perfect. You're
I'm
familiar
already a
with.
local.
Yeah. You had the people up in, who did the Johnny Depp who were local, like Rob and, Ian came down and stuff, but, you're like, for this, you come to the southern one. But who knows, by
Oh
the
yeah,
end, everyone may be showing up to this because, as you said earlier, both teams are so competent. I mean, I think everyone loved the Johnny Depp trial because of all of the things we saw during it, but it was
yeah,
kind of the spectacle of the actual trial wasn't that interesting because it was like Serena Williams playing someone who's like seated like 200, you know what I mean? Or like Nadal playing, you know what I mean? It was just you had Rottenborn was good at times, but it just Camille, like, and Ben and all of them, they set it up so well versus to what you were saying about these teams who both seem to be sharks in their
yeah.
own regards. I do feel like they're going to be back and forth, and it's going to be quite interesting to watch the actual.
I think our odds are good that we'll have fewer Binger and Elaine moments in
Yes.
this trial.
There's
That's my
no my dog
expectation.
stepped on a bee this time.
No, that is a disappointment to us all, but it's a disappointment we have to live with. I did like it when they were listing the names of the possible witnesses, and it seemed to just go on forever and ever. It's like it'd be just simpler to list the people that will not be testifying at this point.
That would be easier, especially considering how small this town is. It just lists the people that
A
aren't
list of not witnesses: Sue and Bob.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
know if you know anyone other than Sue and Bob, could you please raise your hand?
And that eliminates everyone in the jury pool.
Yeah. So,
Um, no, I mean, we timed it the first time, it was 11 minutes of the judge reading just the witnesses.
yeah.
11 minutes of reading the witnesses, the names. I mean, that was hard to deal with, I'm not gonna lie.
Ask people what their impressions of SLED is. I'd be interested to see what the general zeitgeist of people's general opinion on SLED is. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. I'd be interested to see if people have a strong opinion, because I have a strong opinion about SLED growing up in the state. I'd be interested to see if other people have a strong opinion. Maybe some people have never heard of them. Maybe they have. It'd be interesting to see what the opinion is. This is good reporting on the ground advice. What do people think about SLED?
Absolutely.
I'd be interested to see if they have a similar take to my take.
What is their reputation? I actually didn't even know what the acronym meant until you just said it right now, and I was sitting in court and like, "What does this mean?" I knew it was
Yes,
during the sheriff and the court stuff, so I knew what the general sense of what it was, but I had no idea what the actual acronym meant.
yeah. So SLED is the state law enforcement division. They are the state level police. They're akin to Virginia State Police or
Okay, yeah.
Texas Rangers or something like that. But at least when I was in South Carolina, which at this point was 20 years ago, but at least when I was in South Carolina, SLED had a reputation of being like the worst combination of like the FBI and ATF wannabes.
Okay.
That they have this reputation of being these really sort of like, they like to come in and really like flex their power and pretend that they're like the biggest badass in the room, and be a little bit yeah, dickish. Was their reputation, that they had this sort of like, I'm going to come in when my belt buckle comes in 3 minutes before I do because I'm holding it out, kind of thing.
Hmm. Well, it's interesting about this trial because, I mean, Murdaugh was so connected with the police, you know what I mean, in many ways, like, they kind of turned their eye in some cases where maybe he should have been investigated a little bit harder in the beginning.
Mhm.
So I wonder what his opinion is now, as now that everything's changed. But especially maybe some of the people that showed up, or witnesses, what their opinion is. It seems like a lot of the jury members knew either him or his family, or were connected in some ways. So it's interesting. It would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Again, like, it's hard to ask anyone on the street anything. Like, I'm gonna go into a cafe and be like, "What do you think about Murdaugh?" And they're probably gonna be like someone that was in the jury pool. You know what I mean? So what do I do?
Uh, I don't know. I guess it's kind of on them to mention that. I suppose
Yeah.
you do have that problem. I suppose I hadn't really thought about that. It's like that is an issue. It's like basically anyone at this point is the jury pool. So it's yeah. I all you can do, I suppose, is go around and ask, and it's up to them to mention it. But it would, that they're a juror or whatever. So all that good stuff. So yeah, that's basically all the questions I really had for the thing. It's interesting that the courthouse lawn is kind of occupied by all are there a lot of like news trucks and stuff out there, and with their satellites and stuff? Are they overtaking the streets and parking?
There is a parking lot, special for media, and actually, I mean, you could bring down like a trailer or something. I mean, park. They have like a whole setup. Like, some people have a camper that they have, their media tent all around and stuff. There's like kind of a separate little lot for that, and then there's just the picnic style media tents surrounding the lawn. The cars aren't all lined up. Like in Johnny Depp trial, you sort of had, even though they had a really large lot, you also had a lot of the kind of trucks lined up in a certain section, and that's not really the same. They're all kind of in the small, well, it's a very small lot right next door to the courthouse. But there's like a small street next to it that's kind of blocked off, because part of it um, goes into, I guess, the actual parking lot for the courthouse. So that's where like the prosecution came in. But it's definitely very different. The Fairfax County Courthouse was like, I don't know, 10 acres grounds, very large, huge building. This feels very much like it's very historic. It feels like you're in an old like an old courthouse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it looks like a very beautiful courthouse. I've never been there,
Oh, it is. It's
obviously.
very stately. It's, you know what I mean? It feels like a classic, like South Carolina, like old school courthouse. It's beautiful.
That's cool. Yeah.
Um, I mean, yeah, it's hard because obviously the exciting stuff is going to get into like witness testimony and everything. To me, this was actually quite interesting to see the jury selection process and all the different one because you get to see so many different people's like kind of stories, you know what I mean? And like you kind of see what the town is like and all the different people and where they work, you know what I mean? And that kind of stuff and the back and forth. But then to see also all the people who kind of are connected to this case in some way or another. And then every time, when the judge says, stand up if you know any information about this case, and basically the entire jury pool stands up. You know what I mean? I wonder about that because, and maybe you can answer this and speak to this. Court was delayed because of this questionnaire that was new. Now they did have like a standard questionnaire, but there was like new questions introduced, I believe, by the defense, right?
I don't know. You'll have to tell me.
Okay, so I don't know who it was introduced by. I'm guessing it was the defense because it seems like these questions about uh have you heard of this before? Do you know anything about it? If you have, what sources? You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. And maybe again you can speak to it and say if this is just standard questions to ask a jury, but it felt like it was kind of specific to this case. And I almost wonder if the defense is setting up for the opportunity at the end or at some point to say, well, there's no way we can get a fair trial here because look, every jury selection pool, 95% of them knew already what was going on. And yes, they said it didn't affect, their decision, but can we really trust that? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the venue is a huge issue, and we were listening to the appeal for Derek Chauvin when we were waiting for the court audio to begin on my stream as well, where this was a similar issue about the jury pool, the venue, the environment of the thing, and whether or not a fair jury could be chosen from that place. And you have, a similar problem in the case of Chauvin, that there were such problems out there in the courthouse and the National Guard and the barbed wire and all the rest of it. And just in case the jury returned a not guilty verdict, how fair of a trial could you get? Um, a similar issue will also pop up, and I can't believe it won't be transferred when the issue comes up. But with Brian Koberger from Idaho, with Moscow,
Mm.
Idaho, there's just no goddamn way on this earth that we're going to be able to get a jury from Moscow, Idaho. It's not going to happen. This is like give up. There's just no way with us high profile and how small that town is, we can do that. So it's the same issue here in a lot of ways. It's like, can you get enough people? Now, the way to solve that problem is what the court is trying to do, which is a bigger voir dire panel. That's how you solve that problem. That's the remedy that most courts use where it's possible. And I mean, at this point, the voir dire panel is humongous. My understanding is they sent out 900 questionnaires. They're having 4 groups of about 80 people, right? That's how many people were in these groups, give or take.
Yes, give or take. Yeah.
So that's 320 people. So that we're trying to do this voir dire from to get to a jury of 18. So, when you're trying to think about this from a possible appellate posture, you're trying to think of yourself, okay, is that enough? Is that enough of a solution when there has been as much publicity as there has been? And of course, you're also trying to think about what are the possible alternatives in terms of this, which is a similar issue potentially to Chauvin and, for that matter, Koberger in Idaho, where you're trying to think, okay, well, if not here, then where? Where can we get a bigger jury pool now, or more or less biased jury pool? Now, obviously, there are potentials in South Carolina because you could move it to Charleston or Columbia, or there's other places to go where you might be able to find a better pool that's a little bit more distant from it. But you're on an abuse of discretion analysis, basically. Is this so tainted that that no amount of voir dire can do it? So I wouldn't be surprised if his attorneys are trying to set that up by saying, well, look at how all this is and how related people are, and how much publicity there is and all around this. And this was all the talk here for quite some time. But that's the kind of analysis you're doing. So I wouldn't, if I think if they don't have one eye on the appeal, and trying to set up issues, then you're not really doing your job.
Interesting. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I was just very curious about that too, because obviously this is such a big trial and it affects so many people in the surrounding community, but it's so publicized, and we saw the aftermath of the Johnny Depp trial. Of course, they dropped the appeal because they had no chance
Yeah.
uh, at all. But at the same time, we saw like Team Amber basically go around and say, okay, well, this decision wasn't fair because no one can be impartial because everyone knew about this and they were just in love with Johnny Depp. So I just wondered if they're going to say in this situation, well, we can't, have an impartial jury because everyone knows about it. But I mean, you make some really good points there. So yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how it's all going to go. And someone was asking about why a Secret Service person, and someone in chat was asking about why someone from the Secret Service is on the list. Now I could, it could be for a lot of reasons. It could just happen to be someone who works for the Secret Service who is some sort of fact witness, who just happens to have seen something or heard something or whatever. So it could be that. But the other reason is because the Secret Service their primary mission, of course, is counterfeiting.
Mm.
Right? Their primary mission is financial. It was only after, that they were tasked with dealing with security for like the president and vice president and stuff like that. So they deal with, so obviously Murdaugh is involved in a huge shit of money issues. He's involved in all kinds of financial fraud, malfeasance, honest services fraud, wire fraud, banking fraud, monetary fraud of all kinds of crap. So it would not surprise me in any way that the Secret Service was involved as part of those financial fraud investigations and allegations. So the Secret Service has expertise, and the FBI for the same reason. The FBI has expertise, but the Secret Service has more expertise because that's what they do. They do money. That's what their expertise is. So it wouldn't surprise me that the Secret Service was involved for that reason.
I actually didn't know that. That's really interesting. I had no
Oh, yeah.
idea that was their primary. Okay, so that actually makes 100% sense why someone like that might be either as an expert in something having to do, or maybe as an investigator, or just something, with offhand knowledge. So
Yeah. So they do theft, forgery of bonds, securities. They do you know they do computer fraud, identity theft fraud. So they do a lot of stuff that's related to financial theft because that was their original mandate. In fact, before they were in the Department of Homeland Security, they were in the Department of the Treasury because that's
okay.
how that's their origin. They were Treasury officials. So hey,
Interesting.
there's a little history for you, all you guys paying around. So
Yeah,
fun times.
whoever knew that you'd learn history while law and court all at the same time. I love it.
Yeah.
Now I've been seeing some people asking questions and stuff. I want to answer some of these. Do you mind like hanging out for a minute and
Sure, no
maybe
problem.
ask more questions for me if you want? Or I mean, I don't want to keep you. I know it's kind of late, so whatever you want to do.
No, that's fine. I got some time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I did see one because this was something that was brought up and I was curious about as well, about portraits. Someone asked if there were portraits hanging in the courthouse because I think it was Murdaugh's grandfather or great grandfather who was like quite a prominent judge, and his portrait was in the courthouse. They actually had it removed, so there was like a nail in a space and you could see it, but they had it removed for the process while he was there. So I thought
That's
that was
pretty
interesting.
that's pretty hilarious though. I mean, because
Yeah,
his family, as you well know, has been the DA in this region for 100 years.
yeah.
So it's hilarious that they took down a portrait of his ancestors. What a disgrace to the family on that one.
Oh no, I know, and I can't even imagine, especially with how prominent all of them were. They had ancestors, but also like his brothers and all of that, and then to see like kind of this fall from grace, and it kind of takes the name with it. Is just it's got to be frustrating for the people in their family who did do the right things and made good decisions and maybe distanced themselves from him, in certain ways, and now are associated with that kind of crime and
Yeah.
scandal. But another question. I'll just go next on the list. Okay. No, I'm not monetized yet. That's why there's no like super chats or anything. And really thankful, to you for coming on my channel and doing this, instead of because this is going to help me. And then, this will help me get more subscribers. And then hopefully, my channel can be monetizing and to start doing, fun stuff like that and everything. Um,
Yeah.
but also, I mean, if anyone wants to, help me out. I do have my Cash App is in my Twitter or whatever. It's also like James Reports.
There you go.
Um,
Got to get that grift on, baby.
yeah, I know. Only because I mean everyone I only after realized how much and this is no like props to everyone because the Johnny Depp trial one needed everyone to give out the information. Like the media was just doing a terrible job at disseminating the truth about the
Yeah.
legal kind of like ramifications and all the inner workings. So you all really like were power and voice to the people, and I think that was absolutely needed. But to see afterwards, and I'm glad because also like I feel like a lot of money was funneled from these media corporations into you all. Like you all made a lot of money because people didn't want to watch like
I
CNN.
didn't make that much money, but yeah, like Elizabeth, Emily D. Baker, and Ricada cleaned up. They did great for themselves. I mostly gained in subs because I was hanging out on Legal Bites, and Legal Bites also did well. They each got hundreds of thousands of dollars
Exactly. And
in
I don't want to,
revenue.
and I was just saying collectively, like you, like LawTube and stuff. But even, I mean, and even me, I'll include myself. Like the fact that I got that many Twitter followers, that was, I mean, that's in a way
Yeah.
social cachet or whatever. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
definitely profited from that. But seeing the, yes, and it like, and Larry and everyone, and like people who had their channels monetized and were doing live streams with super chats and then putting it up. I mean, I'm so happy for them because, again, like Robinhood, take that money from CNN and, I'm
Yeah.
happy. But seeing that now like kind of motivates me to at least be a little bit of a grifter. But I also in a good way because I want to give people good, accurate information and I want to tell people what they, can't find out for them, selves basically. So
Well, you're the man on the ground, and this I think this could pose a real positive opportunity for you, for your channel. I think though it's probably more important in some ways for you to figure out personally what you want to do in terms of like YouTube and how important you want this to be, because it's not necessarily a good goal to have a big YouTube channel. It's only a good goal if it's a good goal for you. And so, like, what do you want is basically what I'm trying to ask you. And you don't have to give me the answer. I don't care. It's just about you, what you want. So maybe having a big channel is good for you and you want to turn it into something and you're going to use it as an opportunity to make videos and, do things and turn it into something. If that's what you want to do, then, all speed to you. If it's not what you want to do, then it might be a distraction from what you do want to do. So, in some sense, I think if you just want a tip, you have to figure out what it is that you're trying to accomplish. If what you're trying to accomplish is a big YouTube channel, and this could be a good launching opportunity for you. I mean, I wouldn't be contemplating coming down there in person and streaming from their yard if I didn't think that there might be an opportunity in it for me.
Well,
So,
see,
like,
this is why I'm such a bad grifter because that's not even like how I think. Yes, I would love to have a big YouTube channel, but I mean, that's not my goal. My goal would be really to just share, like, like go around to either court cases or different news events and like just share the truth in the way that is unbiased and independent and untainted by anything that's like nefarious so that people can trust what they're hearing from me. And I would love to have a big following from that just because I feel like I would like, I want people to know the truth about things, and, but, I mean, my goal, like, was never to be like, "Oh, yeah, I wanna be, like, a big YouTuber," or, like, "I wanna do this," or, I mean, you know what I mean? So I don't know where to come from, but I do. I mean, that is definitely a goal, and I would love if everyone here, subscribed to my channel and liked so I could continue to grow because I would love to just share, again, the truth and the reporting that I do to as many people as I can because the reason I started to even do any of this, starting with the Johnny Depp trial, was because the on the ground reporting was not accurate. I was watching I was watching Alita, I was watching Emily D. Baker, and I was getting the great legal analysis that you couldn't get anywhere else. But the
Hmm.
part that was missing was what was happening on the ground. You know what I mean? Emily wasn't in the courtroom. She couldn't say what the jury was doing. She did great analysis on everything else that was going on. But that again, that one piece was like, okay, but what's behind the scenes? And I love also to see behind the scenes. So like to see how does and I'm just going to keep using the Johnny Depp trial for an example right now because
Sure.
that's the one I can relate to. But like, how does Elaine and Ben interact behind the scenes? Are they friendly to each other? Are they cold? You know what I mean? What does Amber do? The fact that I could see like her stare down the jury, in the interim of like the sidebar was like that was cool to me. So for this trial to see the same thing, to see like Alex Murdaugh like 6 feet from me and see him like watch intently at the jury, and see him like take notes on everything and see him be very interactive with his team. He's not just sitting back and like, okay, these lawyers, they're handling and I'm just kind of doing things. No, he's like giving them notes, like talking to them, like looking at the jury, like taking off his glasses, like putting them back on. So that's all the stuff that I love. And I feel like you miss that kind of with corporate reporting. And you know what I mean? So that I don't know. I don't even know if that answers any of the question you asked me.
That sounds good to me.
But I don't know. Anyone else? Let's go more questions about the trial today. Um,
Everyone make sure that you're sharing this. By the way, if you have Twitter, the easiest thing that you can do to help James is hitting the share button that's on your screen. It's on mobile and on desktop. Just hit the share button and tweet the link. It's the number one easiest thing you can do because it helps get attention to his channel and helps get attention to his stuff. That's the easiest thing to do.
yes, thank you
So
very much. Appreciate that. Someone asked here, and I'm actually curious too. I checked the other day, but I forgot what it was. The requirements to get monetized. I know it's 1,000 subscriptions, but I think it's 1,000, like 100,000 watch hours, or was it 4,400 or 40,000?
I forget. I think the requirements have changed. I forget what they are now.
Yeah,
I'd
because
have to.
they changed the monetization. It's called like a YouTube partnership. It's not called monetization anymore. It's just called YouTube partner, I think.
The requirements for the shorts are particularly
Oh
high.
yeah, like a
Like
million
it's
views or like
it's
4
like
million
40
views.
million or something
40
ridiculous.
million
It's like
views?
it's yeah, it's ridiculous for monetization over there. Trying to think if I could find where it is on my back end. See. Eh.
Just real quick, Casey says this is the biggest trial the Southeast has seen in years, possibly the biggest ever, and there's so much more. This goes on all over our area. You'll get the following. Well, I do agree. I mean, obviously the Johnny Depp trial was huge, and like something like O.J. Simpson was huge. But I feel like this is going to be a very big murder trial, and especially in the Southeast and in this area, because as we said earlier, people have been covering this for years now, and it feels like something's brewing in the courtroom. Like they're setting up for like an epic battle. It feels like over this, just
Yeah,
personally. But anyway, what did you find? Did you find the
I'm working on it.
okay? Um, what else? Oh, thank you all for the comments. You guys are very nice. You're sweet. That's what I love about this community too, like LawTube. And I know people are gonna cringe when I say LawTube, and some people don't like it or whatever. But I just use it very like loosely as like
Yeah.
people who are like law. Like a law nerd is like a LawTube. Like I don't mean it like, oh, this person is LawTube, this isn't. I just mean like people interested in the law on YouTube and on Twitter and stuff. I feel like this entire community is very kind. Like not only do they help people, but we've seen them like all come together. Like one when we raised a bunch of money, like several times, but then of course, like all this stuff with Hogue that people did to support him and like streaming his videos and replaying them and stuff. Anytime someone needs something, like Corey, like everything y'all did with like Corey and his YouTube channel and getting it. I think it was like within 1 week he had over 200,000 subscribers. You know, um,
Yeah.
you saw all of that, of course. I mean, it was, this community is really kind. So thank you all for the messages and stuff. Legal vices, pimp yourself. Yes, yes, I should. Well, you can't pimp yourself, I guess, right?
You
If can't
absolutely
you
can
pimp
pimp
yourself, I
yourself.
guess you can be a self-employed. Yes,
You
okay.
got you absolutely can pimp yourself. And then the
Okay, then
challenge
you
is
say
just becoming
4,000 months. So
making
you can
sure
pimp
to
yourself?
yeah, you got to pimp yourself. You got to tell people
Okay,
you got to tell tell people to like your hit the like button. And as
do
like
it, like it.
a single thing is better, by the way. Like, comment, subscribe doesn't really work.
Okay,
So you tell people, okay, what I want you to do is hit the share button and tweet it. Because it's
yeah,
one specific thing. Or I want you to hit the like button, or something like that. It's one specific thing. That's what I find out to be the most effective. So yeah, but you gotta like tell people how to what they want you to do. Check your subscribe button. Make sure you're still subscribed. Is your subscribe button currently white? If it is white, it is burning hot with rage because you've not yet subscribed. So make sure to hit that white subscribe button so it becomes a cool, calm black subscribe button that is no longer angry. That kind of thing, It's just whatever. It's dick you got to do. So yeah,
yes. All right, I like it. I will. That will be part of my mantra, as they say.
yeah. And I'm going to after this stream is done, I'll repost it on my channel as well, and I'll also direct people to this channel from there, so that so that people see this and also can see a link to it, so that they will find the original and hopefully find your channel and get you some subscriber. Let's get James some subscribers and some watch time. It'll be good.
True. Yes, please. I would love to hit maybe well, by the end of the trial, I don't know what I could hit, but I would love to hit like maybe 20,000 relatively soon
If you
because
don't
I
hit
was on track.
20,000, if you
Yeah.
don't hit 20,000 by the end of the week, I'll be amazed.
Okay, cool.
As long as you actually are doing what I'm telling you to do, like by popping into people's streams,
I will.
sharing your stuff. If you pop into Emily's stream for 5 minutes, I mean, come
That's
on,
true.
you're gonna get 20,000 subscribers. Come on,
Well, I will
it's
do
like
that, and if she'll have anyone who will have me, I'll do streaming. That goes without saying. Like, I'm not like I like talking to everyone, so whoever wants me is more than welcome. Anyone who's watching or might see this or is in other people's, goes in other people's streams. If anyone says anything, I'm always open to answering questions or going on and doing that and giving.
I also want 20% as your business advisor.
That's fine. I'm good with that. I'm not, again, I'm a terrible grifter. That's like the money, like take 30%. You know what I mean? I just want to like grow like as much as I can and do stuff that I feel like this kind of stuff. I like independent reporting because I feel like it gives back in a way because you're sharing the truth again, not to go in a whole soapbox like I did 5 minutes ago. But I do also like really respect what you all do and I idolize it to an extent because I mean to go on live streams and like do this where you talk about the law and have been attacked in so many ways by like the mainstream media and the press and stuff, but y'all still power through. I mean, that's what I want to be doing,
It's all
So
stupid. It's all the attacks are so stupid, and they're
it is.
so lack of self awareness. It's like all the attacks are just dumb. It's like, oh, they're doing it for the money, as opposed to you. Oh, they're doing it for they're doing it for they're all these YouTubers are making videos for money and for clout and for engagement, and so people will see their content and give them money. And I'm thinking to myself, and you in the mainstream media are doing what exactly by comparison?
Yeah,
It's
like
like,
Kayla Lorenz is writing out of the goodness of her heart for the Washington Post. You know what I mean? Like she just does it like as for fun because she just loves like doxing
yeah.
people and tearing them down. She's just actually she might work for them for free just to attack people that she hates. I wouldn't put it past her. I'm not gonna lie.
Even
Um,
if that's true, she's still getting paid in Schadenfreude, right? So that's just
yeah,
her currency of choice. So like there's still an incentive in it, even if it's not a monetary incentive. She wants to get paid some other way. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's like, yeah, it's like all these people. Tug made videos and people watched them, and Tug made $1 million, says CNN. It's like, what about this is not adding up?
Yeah, I know,
Right.
I wanna ask them, okay, and, and how much, like, advertising do you get from, like, people selling pharmaceuticals on your or, like, whatever, what is your profit model? It is literally the same thing, except you all get more money than him, and you get to keep more money than him because YouTube takes a bunch of the money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
So that's what I think about those articles. They're all just they're all dumb or lacking self-awareness, and like all the articles that are like Amber Heard's the real victim. I'm like, how are you coming to these conclusions? It's like, how are you doing this? It just doesn't make any sense. So it's just, for me, it's just lolcow fuel. And then I make a video about it, and I get 5,000 people watching it, and that's good for my channel. So it works out well for me.
the grift keeps giving, right? Always.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
And Legal Vices, by the way, I know that you are streaming with Legal Mindset, but just a open offer to you as well. If for any reason you want to pop over on my channel, you're always welcome. Same for Legal Mindset. Same for any of those guys. If you want to pop over my channel, just send me a tweet or whatever, and I'm happy to drop you a link. I'd send it out to everyone, but that feels like somehow needy. So it's like, maybe if I just say you can send me a request and I'll send you back a copy, maybe that's less needy. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out as we do. It's like, yeah, it just feels like the days of us sending out the link on the LawTube Twitter thread, which is basically dead anyway, is kind of over. So
Yeah, I remember that during the trial, just all the StreamYard links and this and
yeah,
that, but I don't know, it'll be
yeah,
fun maybe, as this starts to get televised, everyone getting back into the swing of things.
yeah. But
Now
I'm planning on covering the entire trial cover to cover by myself. Is my
nice.
current working plan. And I feel like I have a little bit of credibility because I grew up in South Carolina. It's like, well, I lived in the state for 20 years, so I understand something about the state. Um, and went to college there, went to Clemson, go Tigers. So I feel like I have some credibility to offer. And I've lived in, Columbia and Beaufort and Greenville. So basically lived in every possible region of the state at this point, um, between those three. The only place I haven't lived that's of note other than that would be like Myrtle Beach, which is just a tourist trap and not worthy of talking about. But it's a very interesting tourist trap. But yeah, it's that's what I want to offer. And I had a good stream today and 1,000 people watching, and it was great. 1,000 people watching nothing. So
Yeah, this is just the jury selection. This hasn't even started the actual drama of the case. So, I mean, and I think you should. You offer that perspective. You're from this area. You have that connection. I think that would be awesome. I would love to see you streaming literally with the courthouse in the background. Like, you know what I mean? Like doing it, talking about it. I can
I'm
come
thinking,
out
I'm
on the
thinking, I'm
break,
thinking, I'm
chill with
thinking
you.
tailgating. I'm thinking tailgating. I'll get some fried chicken out there, open up my trunk, get some tailgating, get some beers out there
That'd
for
actually be
something.
awesome. Yeah, you get stuff delivered, you're eating barbecue, you have, low country barbecue out there while
Oh
you're
yeah,
streaming.
mustard based. Gotta go,
Oh, you
gotta
could get
go.
like rib contests, you could have like different places, you could be sitting there like trying the different things. People would love it.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
cool. Has to happen.
All right. Well, I guess I'm done for the evening. So unless there's anything more, I would suggest that we sign off and call it a night.
Yes. Actually, I might answer a few more of these questions just real quick. Or no, maybe not, because I think people are um actually, no. Okay, yeah, I think it's about time. I should probably get to bed anyway because I gotta be up at 6 in the morning. But I do
Time to go to
really
bed.
yeah, I really appreciate you doing this with me. I'm gonna send this to you so you have the video. Everyone go to his channel and check out because he's gonna have this video on his channel to watch if for people who aren't watching or want to rewatch it or something like that. What do they call it? The something crew?
Video on demand, the rewatch crew.
The rewatch crew. Yes, yes, absolutely. But
Mhm.
but yeah,
Well, I
so
want to I want to thank James from Court for having me on. This has been a lot of fun as always. I want to thank all you guys who are out there make sure to check out James from Court, and also you can check out my stream. I'll be streaming it every day, so you can check out me in the morning and also in the afternoon. The stream's already posted, so at Uncivil Law, check me out.
All right, bye everyone. Thank you. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.
Bye.